to start doing some performance upgrades. I've got some Brembos, we got the Stage 3 kit. We'll see what we get to today. We're going to start with the Brembos. I have a plan to fit them on this car, so we'll see if they fit. Alright, so I bolted the Brembo on there. It bolts right up to the knuckle. I wasn't able to put the disc on just because obviously they're the wrong discs, and I'm going to need to space the hub and wheel bearing assembly out a little bit to get to work with these brakes. But what I was really worried about is whether I had clearance to the rim, and as you can see, it's fine with these. I'm not sure how the clearance is going to be when I put the new discs in here. It's pretty tight, but I can always want a bit of a wheel spacer if I have to, so that's not too bad. So the plan is I found a 2013 Mini Cooper S rotors. They're 4x100 and they'll fit. So I'm going to order those, and then once they come in I can do the measurements and make the necessary spacers, whether I need to space out the hub and wheel bearing or space out the caliper. I can make it work. Okay, we're back in the shop for another weekend, guys. I've got the brake parts on order, so we're going to be transitioning from doing that to the Stage 3 kit. So I've got all the parts laid out here on the table. So I'm going to start with getting the car jacked up and then taking the front bumper off, and we can go about fitting this. Okay, so I started with the front mount heat exchanger. It actually fits up pretty well. It's going to be able to retain most of the bumper. So this is off the Cobalt SS. I think I'm actually going to be able to retain some of this front air ducting here. So you can see under here, if you look, there's the two mounting tabs there. So I'm going to be able to put some rubber washers on there and mount that into the front impact bar there. And then on the back there's another couple tabs that I'll have to work out how I want to use those for mounts. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this where I want it, and then afterwards I'll worry about any bumper work that I need to do. And then I can do the plumbing for the dual pass and the front mount. Alright, so it's been about 4 hours now or so. It's a lot of work to get this intake off if you haven't done it before, but finally got that off. And then started on the hose routing. So we have the hose that comes out of the pump into the stock heat exchanger, and then I have the hose that comes out of the stock heat exchanger down there, and it's going to go into the aftermarket one. And I've got this marked up right where I want it. So I've marked the holes here. I'm going to go ahead and drill those now, and then I can bolt it in place. Quick status update. So I've now got this fully mounted in here. I used some rubber washers between there and the bash bar, and then if you look on the top here, I made little brackets in there, again with some rubber washers between the mounts and the frame. I've connected up both the lines here, so those are all plumbed. I've got the line coming up here to the dual pass, and then I've got one more line to put on down there, and then I'm going to put on the intake manifold. While I'm here, I'm going to do a oil change because it's the easiest time to do it. Take the filter out, do an oil change. So I'll give you another update once I've got the manifold on. Alright, another status update. So I got the manifold back on, and I got the plumbing all done up except for putting the supercharger in now. So it's pretty tight in there. I ended up using a 90 down there, you can see, and then the standard for the dual pass. It's a lot tighter than in a Cobalt or a Redline just because the intercooler's a bit closer to the engine in my car. But now it's time to put the supercharger back on, and then we'll be able to test for leaks. Final update before we started here. So I got the supercharger on, finished up the plumbing here. It's quite tight in there. I put some protectant corrugated plastic wrap on the tubes there to try and stop it from rubbing on the radiator. but it is pretty tight. So that's all on. Put the new belt on along with the smaller pulley here. So we're going to start up the car now and hope that nothing leaks. So continuing with the install, now I'm going to trim up this piece. I basically need to take everything from this bolt hole back off. I'm going to trim all that up and try and fit it on here. So you can see that hole there is where it mounts to, along with the one over here. So I'm going to trim this plastic and hopefully we can retain it. It's a couple hours later now of cutting, test fitting. Finally got it on. There's a small bit of clearance all around. It's not making contact. There's not much of this grill left, but I still like to have it on there as it kind of splits up the look from the front. And I also had to make room on the front bumper. So it does hang out quite a bit, but I plan on putting a front lip on here. So that should hide that, and you won't see it. So I'm going to get the bumper on, and I'll give you a look at what it looks like with the bumper on. Here's the finished product pretty much. So it does hang out a little bit, but put a front lip on there. You won't even see it. I clearanced everything so it doesn't touch. This is all very close, but it all fits in there. I'm a little worried about airflow to the radiator and everything, but hopefully it'll be okay. We'll see when I get it on track again. So now I have a tow bar that I'm going to be installing. So just a tow strap. So I'll take the bumper off again, mount this into the front, and I'll show you how that looks. So tow strap's on. That was about the easiest and most fun install I've done in a little while, because all it is drilling a hole and bolting it on. Now this isn't just for looks, I actually want it for when I'm at the track if I need to be towed. Last time I was there, my battery died on track because I went off and the car stalled, and because this car needs a new battery I wasn't able to start it. So I had to be towed and I didn't have a tow strap, and it was a big hassle. So now if it ever happens again, I have a tow strap, I'm ready to go. It's pretty required when you're going to the track to be able to get your car off in an efficient way. So hopefully that holds. Before I go to the track next, I'm actually going to try getting my car pulled from this, make sure that it's not just cheap and breaks. I want it to actually be able to pull the weight of my car. So I'm going to throw the bumper back on now and give you a look at what it looks like all assembled. And there we go, bumper's back on, tow strap's installed, it's in a pretty good place. Shouldn't interfere with the bumper. I already pulled on it a bunch, it's quite strong, so we'll see how that does in the spring. Pull the car with it. Hopefully it's strong enough, it doesn't break. So up next, I'm just trying to work out the AC. I've hooked up the ion line here. So what I'm going to do is cut it, put a crimp on hose fitting, run some hose underneath the radiator here, and then the factory fitting from this car goes down there, and then it makes a angle. So I should be able to just attach it there and complete the AC loop. And then all that remains will be getting it filled and pressurized, and then I just have to work on the wiring to get the AC request working. So I'm gonna get on my phone here and look up what fittings I need and get those ordered so I can get the AC ready. One other thing I forgot, so this line here You can see it's probably seen it in all the videos, it's been hanging out here. The factory one, if I get a flashlight, it's right there. So what I'm going to do is get a beadlock crimp fitting and basically cut this hose, and then this hose is the same inside diameter as the factory one from the ion motor. I still have that, and I'll just join those back here somewhere, and then that'll complete that side of the loop.
Take it easy.